Welcome to the Planet MicroCap Showcase Virtual 2022. I'm your host, Robert Kraft, and thank you for joining us. Now presenting is Brian Pedlar, CEO of Covalon. It's a publicly traded company. I got two symbols for you, COV on the TSX Venture and CVALF on the OTCQX. Brian, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Robert. Really appreciate the introduction. Thank you for joining us today. I'm excited about talking about Covalon. First, I'd just like to draw your attention to our forward-looking statements. We and our safe harbor, we will be making statements. I encourage you to read our financial statements and our risks in our public filing documents. It's a lot of really exciting bedtime reading. We are not just another medical device company. Covalon, over the past 24 months, the management team has really spent a lot of time transforming the organization into a company that is a patient-driven medical device company that is focused on bringing to the market some compassionate care, so products that are better and safer for patients and make it easier for clinicians to use and engage with their patients. And those products are primarily focused on infection prevention and helping patients heal. There's an incredible wealth of intellectual property in Covalon and an incredible portfolio of products for such a small company. And we are truly on a mission to win the hearts and the minds of the clinicians that we engage with. Just a few comments on us as a public company. We have about 25.4 million shares outstanding, and roughly 55% of those are held by insiders. We're a fortunate organization to have no debt during this time where interest rates are climbing, and we have about a $65 million market cap. We've all heard about hospital-acquired infections. What we may not have heard about is the fact that they are up 63% in intensive care units since COVID hit us back in 2020. So, it's a massive negative impact on the hospitals, not only because infections are up, but those are uninsured infections. So that means that hospitals are required to fund and pay the treatment for those infections on their own dime. And cannot get reimbursed by insurance. That's a significant burden, and that means every dollar spent treating an unwanted infection is a dollar taken away from advancing patient care in areas, whether that's staffing or whether that's equipment or other procedures to help make patients' lives better and help them heal faster. What that means underneath is that the current standard of care products in the areas that our products compete on, they're dominated by large legacy companies that really have lost their way in understanding how to innovate. And as a result, their products are ineffective. It's unfortunate, but that tends to happen in certain spaces. And why do we say they're ineffective? Well, when you take a look at the hospital-acquired infections that occur, 70% of those infections are preventable with products and technologies that exist today and that are available on the market. So that means $20 billion didn't have to go to the treatment of these infections. And that also means that 70,000 people didn't have to die. And those are staggering numbers, and it's truly time to put the right technology in the hands of the frontline caregivers that can help reduce these infections. Clinicians understand that. Patients understand that. They're looking for better, safer products, and they're looking for actually a better standard of care. We hear that every day. They know, both patients and clinicians know there are better products on the market, and they're advocating for their patients. They want products that will work to protect them and don't cause complications. That's a compassionate care story. That's a compassionate care product set that can help improve patient outcomes without causing unwanted side effects. And we're hearing it from both patients and clinicians. At Covalon, we are laser beam focused on becoming a leading provider of compassionate care solutions that help patients heal faster and live better. We believe that products like ours can become the new standard of care in helping patients heal in hospital situations. Our mission is truly to provide cost-effective healthcare solutions. So bringing products to the market that simply solve a problem but are more expensive is not our mission. Our mission is to be cost-effective, that reduce pain, prevent infection, and promote healing. And we're winning. Over the past 18 months, here's some of the accounts that we've engaged with that have chosen Covalon to provide part of their infection prevention solutions and protocols by adopting our products. We've got some good inroads with children's hospitals. Seems like children's hospitals tend to make decisions relatively rapidly, and they're a little more aggressive in adopting products that they believe will help their patients. And as a result, we've got a really good footprint in pediatric space. We've also got a really strong footprint in some of the more adult-focused acute care hospitals. And so these are some of our sort of 70 major hospitals that are now customers of ours. And we're growing our business within these hospitals, but also in looking at adding additional hospitals as customers. So when you take a look at our revenue profile, there's no question that as a company, we were impacted negatively by COVID. As a result, we spent the last couple of years retooling our business, refocusing our sales approaches to adapt to a new world where you can't walk into hospitals and roam the halls as a sales organization like you used to. And we have really made some fundamental changes in the business, added a strong management team, added and invested in sales and marketing resources. We can see that we've had some recovery in our markets in the United States and in the Middle East, but a lot of the changes that we've made to the business have not yet been reflected in our financial results. We will see that in our fiscal 2023, and we have a September 30th year end. So we are now 2 months into our new fiscal year, and I'm really excited about the progress that we've made. I encourage you to follow our results this fiscal year and watch as the changes that we've made impact our financial performance in a positive way. We go to market and focus on the United States. It's our dominant market. About 67% of our revenue comes from the US and about a third from international. In the United States, we go and target hospitals directly with our own sales team. We've got some pretty strong clinical evidence backing our 3 main infection prevention products that we are engaging with hospitals on. Not only clinical evidence, but also clinical support from those clinicians in that market. In the long-term care and home health care market within the US, we tend to lean on and use distribution organizations that already have sales forces in calling on these institutions and in the market where our products will complement their offerings. So it's a large investment for a company of our size to try to build out a sales team to take on that part of the market. So the best model for us currently is to work through distributors to get access to that part of the healthcare spectrum. Internationally, we engage with distributors, usually on an exclusive basis in countries. And those distributors will already have the relationships, the sales teams in place, and we simply leverage them in order to sell our products on an exclusive basis. So they're not selling anybody else's products that might compete with ours. And so we get a lot of good attention, and we have some pretty strong partners in that area. Turning to our fiscal 2023, the year we're in now, we're going to continue to invest in sales and marketing initiatives and staff in order to aggressively grow our U.S. hospital business. As I mentioned, we have about 70 major hospital customers that are over 300 beds. We've got a bunch of other hospitals as well that are smaller, but really that's our main target, is going after larger hospitals. Those are the hospitals that really define standard of care in healthcare. And so by 2025, our target is to grow that base to 400 major hospitals. And I think, that's certainly an achievable goal for us. I mentioned we've also got some pretty strong progress within the pediatric space. Our goal is to become a #1 market shareholder for those products that we have on the market within the pediatric space. And our international wound care business continues to grow both internationally and in the United States. And we see the opportunity. It's our goal to be in a #1 or #2 position in the markets that we focus on, where our products have the ability to dominate. And so those are our 2025 targets. That means if you sort of translate that translates to pretty significant growth for us as an organization. And I feel really good about the steps we've made over the last couple of years and the progress we're making this fiscal year in making our way to achieve these goals. Our products focus on two main areas, and they're all patented and they're FDA cleared. And so we focus on infection prevention and advanced wound healing. And in the infection prevention area, we're really focusing on bloodstream infections that tend to happen in an ICU or recovery setting within a hospital, and surgical site infections. The third part is our medical device-related infections, where we work with big medical companies to take their existing products and add antimicrobial capabilities, so their products actually help prevent infections rather than help cause them. So that's a part of our business that is a big validation for us, as large medical companies that have hundreds and hundreds of people in their R&D groups, they turn to Covalon for antimicrobial solutions for their product sets. And in the advanced wound healing area, that's really driven by diabetic chronic wounds, surgical wounds, and burns, and non-healing traumatic wounds. And that's an area, again, where it's a massive cost burden on the healthcare system and a huge market opportunity for us as an organization. When we take a look at catheter-related bloodstream infections, it's incredible that 25% of the people who get a bloodstream infection die. So preventing these infections is extremely serious and extremely focused on in hospitals. We happen to have 3 really good products and an incredible technology to do that. Our ValGuard product is designed to help protect line-to-line connections and is really turning some heads. It's an area where a lot of clinicians don't have a good solution. And so we're finding that there's a large focus on trying to prevent these line-to-line contaminations from happening for patients that have catheters in their bloodstream. And of course, our IV Clear product and our COV IV product are strong players in helping to prevent infection, but also create a more compassionate engagement between clinicians and patients. Another area that we've seen a lot of traction is in the surgical site infection prevention area. The #1 cause of hospital readmissions after somebody gets a surgery is an infection. We happen to have the #1 cardiac heart surgery unit in the world at Texas Children's Hospital that has adopted our SurgiClear product and has actually published some clinical results that they tracked and developed using our SurgiClear product. They did a 600 patient clinical study where they looked at attempting to reduce infection rates, make it easier for clinicians to monitor surgical incisions, and to improve healing rates. And after 12 months and 600 patients, so 600 open heart surgeries, they were able to reduce their infection rates to 0. We believe, based on our calculations, that they saved about $200,000, and they had significantly better clinical outcomes on those patients with lower complications. And they were thrilled with the results, and they talked to a lot of their peers about those results and presented them publicly and got them published in a journal. That's incredible evidence and support and credibility for a company like Covalon to have the #1 heart unit in the world be able to adopt your product and create some significant clinical results with it. And they are just one of several organizations that have published over the past 18 months about their positive impacts of using our products. Another area that we see that I mentioned is complex chronic wounds. They can be extremely debilitating for patients. It's a massive financial burden on the hospital system, and it's surprising that 1 in 4 families have a family member that has a chronic wound. We happen to have a product, Colactive Plus, that is one of the very few products on the market that can truly close complex wounds. And so this is a growth area for us, and we see a lot of attention. There's a lot of clinical support for our product. At the heart of Covalon are our strong intellectual property portfolio, patents pending, and platforms of technology. So we're the only organization that has antimicrobial silicone adhesive products on the market. And we have some incredible opportunities with those products. We have a really strong advanced wound care platform, and our medical device coatings platform is well respected by large medical companies that we deal with that are looking to bring new antimicrobial products into the market. So we have a strong portfolio of IP and products, and we continue to develop new products over time. So I'd like to leave you with a couple thoughts. Number one, we have a financially strong core business. We've got significant cash and we've got no debt. We've retooled our management team, and I'm really excited about the progress that we're making on that front. And we have above market revenue growth opportunities in the spaces that we play. Secondly, we have innovative products that are not only backed by strong IP, but have solid clinical evidence behind them, and key clinicians that are champions for our products in the market. And unfortunately, the markets we play in are massive growth opportunities. There's a crisis going on with infections, and we're one of the few companies that have some products that are modern technology that can really make a difference. And so there's a lot of upside for us as an organization. So with that, I'd like to open up to some questions.
All right. Thank you, Brian, for your presentation here today. Really do appreciate that. So a couple questions I wanted to ask you from your presentation. First one is on a slide early on, you talked about your 2025 goals is to reach to 400 hospitals. Can you elaborate on how does that translate into dollars in terms of what is that market potential and or TAM that you're looking to, that goal that you're trying to get?
Yeah, it's a good question, Robert, and it's always difficult to estimate that until you're there. But I'll do my best. So each one of our products in a major hospital, so that's 400 hospitals that are greater than 300 beds. Each of our 3 products has the ability to be somewhere between $50,000 to $100,000 in each hospital. We do have a couple hospitals that use one product. They've adopted it, hospital wide. It could be as much as $250,000 in that hospital per year. So we sort of look at it, if we're doing about somewhere between $100,000 to $250,000 in a hospital with our product set, we've fully penetrated that hospital and we're comfortable. Not every hospital we have today has adopted our products hospital-wide. So in some of those instances, we're engaging with them and they're a $15,000 to $25,000 account for us. So over time, those tend to grow. So we add new departments in a hospital. So if you sort of do the math on that, that's a staggering number. When you think about, a couple $100,000 per hospital for us, that's a huge growth curve. But we definitely are seeing that in the hospitals that are adopting our products, and those that adopt them as full standard of care. Those are very, very achievable objectives for us. So not only can we land the 400, I think we can grow the value of those accounts for us in our, over the course of time.
Absolutely. What's the hospital count number as of today?
We have about 70 major hospitals in total. We probably are in the 150 range.
Okay.
And we've got, of those 70 major hospitals, those are the ones that set standard of care. So landing those are the ones that bring a lot of follow-on effect as they adopt our products, demonstrate the efficacy with releasing clinical results. They tend to bring along a lot of other facilities that want to engage with us.
Absolutely. So another question I had for you, and it was funny. I written down the question, and then literally it was the next slide, and it had to do with ColActive Plus. It sounds like you said it's a growth area. Can you elaborate on where you're currently at in the process? What the strategy is? Is it going to be an OTC product, prescription? I'd love to learn more.
Yeah, so our ColActive Plus product is focused on chronic wounds that won't heal. So think of diabetic foot ulcers. And typically those get diagnosed in clinics associated with hospitals or standalone clinics. And then patients go home often to get treatment. And there's a home health care organization that comes in to do dressing changes. And so our strategy with that product is to go after the prescriptions. So it's a prescription product. And once the clinicians will write the script for ColActive Plus, it follows them through the pathway into home health care. So a product can't be substituted, which sometimes happens. It happens in the prescription drug space where they substitute a generic. But in this case, if they write the script for our product branded, we end up with that patient becoming a patient through their entire course of care. So we don't necessarily have to call on the home health care groups. We just have to get the prescription written at the start. And so our strategy is to target distribution partners that have the ability to get those scripts written by doctors. And that's, unfortunately, chronic wounds and diabetic ulcers, again, is another epidemic area that's growing massively, grew substantially over the COVID because people were not going to see their doctor about wounds that happened on their feet and they became chronic. And so that's another massive growth area for us. So we see a lot of opportunity there. We also see the opportunity to bring new products based on that platform technology into the market. And so for us, that's a really strong growth area.
Absolutely. And I mean, where are you at in the process right now? I mean, I'm assuming it's still not launched. It's on the verge of launching.
No, we have our ColActive Plus product, surprisingly, has been in the market since 2007.
Oh, okay.
And so again, with our recent focus on really changing the way we engage with clinicians and engage in the U.S. market, which we've really revamped that over the last 24 months. We see a lot of growth opportunity there, as well as in our international channels. So our ColActive Plus product is focused is the sort of flagship product for our international business that we see is experiencing a 25%, cumulative average growth rate over the course of to the end of 2025. So a lot of opportunity for growth there. And it's competing against the big organizations that have products, and it's winning the clinicians' heart and minds, a clinician at a time. And as we do that, we see a lot of growth happening in that space.
I was going to say, the competitive landscape must be, pretty tough, right? You're most likely dealing with all the majors, and there's probably, I'm sure what's been that experience like, and having to win over hospitals and clinicians to use your product.
Yeah, so in a hospital setting, our competition are small companies like 3M and Medline and other large organizations, Johnson & Johnson. So we've chosen a space where we're going against the large organizations, but we're able to win by not competing with them, head to head on price-driven contracts, but going directly to the clinicians, getting the clinical buy-in, getting the clinicians to realize that our products are actually safer for their patients. They don't cause unwanted complications, and they work, and they're easier for the clinicians to use, and the patients actually like them better. And so all of that together creates a relationship with the clinician that us as an organization we overcome these hurdles of competing against the big guys by actually getting them to change their standard of care and write our products into their protocols. And so we take a clinical approach instead of only going after the purchasing folks. So that allows us to compete and win. And we're seeing that happen faster than we can manage right now. So that's a good thing.
Absolutely. All right. So my final question for you today, Brian, and this is, I'm asking this to everybody that's presenting here today. We're going through tough markets right now. What measures is Covalon taking to manage some of these macroeconomic pressures that are currently affecting most microcap companies across the board? Somebody called me out the other day and said, I said most. I always say most, not everybody, but
yeah. So Robert, it's a good question. And one of the interesting things and the things that I really like about Covalon is we're in a space that is a little insulated from a lot of the economic pressures. Healthcare is important to everybody's lives, and treating infections in people's health is an area that tends to be a little bit recession-proof. However, there's a crisis going on. And so our ability to engage and grow our business in a crisis is important. And that crisis is infections are out of control in hospitals. So from our perspective, I think we're in a good position. Of course, supply chains and all of the things that are affecting a lot of companies affect us as well. We spent a lot of time trying to bulletproof our supply chains and make some moves to bring some manufacturing in-house in order to get not only better margins, but more continuity of supply. Our challenge is, again, we don't have debt, so the credit crisis and the interest rate rise is not affecting us in a negative way. What we see a lot of opportunity. I think our main challenge, to be brutally honest with you, is our ability as an organization to execute. And if we can execute, great. If we can't, then I'd say we have a problem. Right now, we're executing, and we're executing really well. I think you can see that in our engagement in our marketing. You can see that in our press releases, and I think you can see that in the growth in our hospital base. So I'm actually pretty excited about where we are, recognizing that there are challenges, and we're doing our best as a management team to manage those ones that are affecting a lot of organizations, supply chain, et cetera. But on the business side, business is really strong.
Very good. All right. Well, Brian, thank you so much for your presentation here today. We really do appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching and participating. We really appreciate you as well. Have a great rest of your conference. And Brian, thank you again.
Thanks, Robert. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate being part of the Planet MicroCap.
Thank you.